Oh, you're here. That's great. I needed someone to watch me work. Well, not helping me at all. That's great. Well, good life choices. While you're here, I'll just go ahead and show you kind of what's been going on. So, first of all, we've got the front suspension to come off of Mr. F. Actually, the Cobra and the car are both Mr. F. We're just kind of doing a body swap, basically. And then we'll probably remove the drive shaft. I need to get that shortened. I need to kind of get that going. And then we'll get to installing the first kind of inner panels on the front of the car, the F panels that we were talking about, and the lower A-arms. Probably going to replace the lower ball joints. They are original to the car. They don't have dust boots on them. And since we have them off, so it's an extra $100 to the build, but it's probably going to need to be done. So let's just do it. And then kind of see where it goes from there. But first, I just got the parts back from the powder coating, the coater of the parts with powder. And so let's kind of open those up and see what they look like. All right, so just picked these up today. Let me get a knife, hang on. Found one. I've got 5 of them, but for some reason, none of them are ever here. So I was curious about these. These are the brake hole covers, and they came kind of, well, not polished, but just bare metal. But since I'm doing the trim in black, and this is going to contrast well against the paint color I'm using, I decided to have them powder coated. I could have spray painted them. Nobody would have known, except when the first rock hit it, it would flake off and be shiny and look terrible. So I spent the money. It probably cost me $200 to powder coat all of these. But worth it. I'm not powder coating everything, but I chose carefully what I wanted to powder coat. Okay, right, these are the bumper quick jack pieces. I'm actually missing 2 of these, so Factory 5 just sent me 2 instead of 4, and they emailed me yesterday and said the other 2 are coming. So far so good. So I'll have to send those 2 off whenever they finally show up. Yeah, so these are we'll go into it, but putting the front A-arms on the spindle where on the car, the strut was mounted. This is going to be mounted in its place so that we can attach the upper A-arm and spring and all that. So this is a Factory 5 piece, but I thought it should probably be powder coated to match the frame. So this is, these are just inner bumper brackets, so kind of gives you an idea. I'm going to leave these wrapped up for now, except for this and the other this. Okay, sweet. All right, enough playing around. I got to get to work. we're going to do is get these F panels riveted in. I've got the spacing tool, and the directions are pretty good as far as how to install it. You mark the holes, you drill them, you put the silicone, where it's touching the frame, and then you zip it up on there and drill your holes in the frame, and then you pop rivet it. So I've already got this panel with the holes in it. This one here, I've got the lines, and then I've marked each hole with the spacer tool. So I'm just gonna finish up this side, and then we'll go over to the frame and pop them on. So I see I'm gonna have to deal with some imperfections. I am really glad I bought these clamps. I had bought a pack of Kleco fastener kit on Amazon or whatever in case I needed it to help hold these panels together. And it came with these clamps, which is good. So this is my experience. Right or wrong, I followed the directions. I put the silicone, on the back side. I put it on, popped these in. This has to get twisted in. So really the only way for me to kind of get it to twist in so I can drill the holes and everything is to clamp it, which also is going to allow this silicone to cure. On this side, you can see where this piece is trimmed, it kind of angles back and isn't grabbing a lot of this, like this side is. This side is grabbing a lot more. You can even see on the back where the silicone isn't even on the bar. Well, that's because the panel isn't on the bar either. So I may have to move a hole to try to grab some there, but going forward, I will double test fit. It's not really a huge deal. All of this is going to be covered by the body, and once it's in there and on, it's not like you're the only one that's going to know. It doesn't really matter. But I just wanted to show you some of the things that I'm bumping into that might be helpful. show you something. I had got the ball joints mounted in here, and I was getting ready to mount these to here, and I couldn't get this bolt through the hole. Like, it just wasn't fitting, and I know this is the right bolt. So what I ended up having to do is take a 1/2-inch drill bit, and I mean, it was just a sliver, but maybe it's because it's powder coated or whatever machining they do is just slightly undersized. But after running the 1/2-inch drill bit through all 4 of them, it's working now. So I'll just go ahead and mount these on here. They give you the torque specs to mount these and everything. These are lock nuts, mechanical lock, not like the poly lock ones. Oh, this one's going to be a lot of fun. There we go. All right. So I'll tighten those down, and then I'll move on to the other side and get those tightened down. And then they give you the measurements on, you know, where these need to be adjusted. So I'll get those adjusted too. Well, what seemed like a good idea at the time, those are great words to live by. It seemed like a good idea at the time. So I installed the lower control arms. I'm just putting things together, going to the next thing on the directions, not paying much attention. I've already assembled the coilovers and all of that, and I get the lower control arms on and go to kind of mock up the coilovers, and I notice, hey, I don't have a lower mount for the coilovers. I have a spring perch, but I have no no mount. So I did a little digging, did a little research, a little, detective work, and it turns out they don't tell you this in the directions, and that's why I'm having this little discussion with you right now. They don't. In the book, they show you with the tubular factory 5 lower control arms, mounts up pretty as you please, and all they say is can be used with the stock or what we make. Well, that's not helpful. I barely found a snippet in a forum somewhere that said you have to take off the rear shock mounts on the axle and modify them on the front lower stock control arms, blah, blah, blah. And I just started going, I'm not doing this. This seems a little janky to me, a little, I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. So I got online and looked at the options out there. I called Factory 5, and they very happily sold me a pair of tubular lower control arms for $550 plus $20 shipping. That was me counting to 10. We're going to move on. We're going to move on. I'm going to have to take a pause on the front suspension until those show up, and then it should all just go together very nicely. And we'll just go on to the next thing. I've got a lot to take apart on the Mustang, and in fact, I need to drop the transmission because once the car's on the lift, I've got a transmission leak. The gifts keep giving. They just keep giving. But it's part of the adventure. So if everything went perfectly, this would not be an interesting process. That's what I'm telling myself. So yeah, we'll pause on this and go do something else. And, hopefully we'll get to spend more money because that's my favorite thing. Oh, I'm starting to get hangry. I need some lunch. So, I've been working on the front suspension and removing the rear suspension from the car. I got distracted because that's what happens. You get excited, and I started pulling stuff out of the box and looking in the book and seeing what I need for the rear suspension, since that's coming up next. I am going to use the stock upper and lower control arms, but the springs, so I kind of went down a rabbit hole because I could see right away that I was going to need to order some new isolators because these were pretty rough. So then I started diving into the springs, because from everything I could tell, you had to cut some off of this stock spring to get your ride height right. Well, what I was finding out is that Factory 5 builders were almost universally struggling with the stock Mustang rear springs because they're a progressive rate spring. So they're softer initially, and then they get harder down low. The problem that they're having is that car is heavier than that car. So it was never getting into the stiff rate. It was only working on the very, very softest rate of the spring, which was causing the Cobra to bottom out, and just, it wasn't great. So what I did after some research, so I dove into, well, I could just buy the coilovers. It was an option when I ordered the kit. It's like $600, $800, I can't remember what. But they don't seem to be available. I didn't really want to spend that money. So the other option that I came up with was buying a set of low ring springs for that car, but instead of being progressive rate, they're linear rate. So they have whatever, 265 pounds, but it's all the way through the spring. So, and also it's a 1-inch lower spring, and so I'm hoping I don't have to cut it. We'll find out. Again, this is a rabbit hole. I'm not there in the process yet, but you know, you have to kind of come with me on the journey. So if I go down a rabbit hole, you're going down a rabbit hole. So anyway, I got those ordered with the isolators and free shipping. It was like $138 or something like that. A much more doable price point. So when they show up in a couple days, hopefully I'll be at that point to install them, and we'll kind of see how it goes. Or doesn't go. And then we'll figure something else out. Thanks for hanging out. I know we're all car guys here, except for you, Mom, and enjoy building cars and watching other people build cars. I want to be as candid as possible with where this build is going, the problems I'm running into, my solutions, right or wrong. It may be a little bit frustrating for you to see me do something and you're thinking, why wouldn't you do it this other way? Well, maybe I didn't think about it. Or maybe I thought about it and said, it's not worth the extra expense to me. I am really wanting this car to be something I can drive and enjoy. The parts I'm taking off of the Mustang are good parts. I'm replacing anything I find that is worn. Otherwise, I'm leaving it well enough alone. The pads and rotors are in good shape. They don't look pretty. They're not like drilled and slotted and painted up real nice and shiny, but they've got a lot of miles left on them. I'm not replacing them. It's something that I can do later when the brakes wear out, or maybe I want to do an upgrade. This is not about building everything I want in a car. This is about owning a Cobra and getting it on the road and enjoying it, and then enjoying the process later in updating it or changing things as I want to. But right now, let's focus on the experiment of can we take a Mustang and a Cobra kit and make a car. Obviously not completely, because I've already made a couple of purchases, but we're finding out. So it's going to be exciting. I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. If you're interested in hanging out some more, we've got some more episodes coming. We, as in, you know, it's the singular we, since it's only me. So we have some more stuff coming. So we've got people working on things, you know, lots of things happening. I've got stuff to do. Go work on your own project. Except you. Your wife needs you to